The Ukrainians have all that they can reasonably expect, we can reasonably expect to get to them in order to provide for their physical security and their defenses. And so we're going to be providing another, well, I guess I'll announce it shortly, but another $800 million in aid.
All right, President Biden, they're pledging an additional $800 million to Ukraine. This is the southern border continues in disarray, and inflation is, of course, soaring. I'd like to welcome in our panel to react. We have Newsmax contributor and ambassador with the America First Policy Institute, Tom Borelli, and the director of membership development for the Project 21 Black Leadership Network, Donna Jackson. Tom, Donna, thank you for being with us. I want to kick it off with you, Tom. Certainly the president is doubling down on his effort in Ukraine, pledging an additional $800 billion. He said he's willing to do whatever it takes. What do you make of this policy goal for the Biden administration at a time when Americans are hurting domestically?
Well, Kimberly, I think it's another example of President Biden's America Last policy, because as you mentioned, the United States has many problems here, including runaway inflation, high gasoline prices, the open border, and now Title 42 was just removed by the Supreme Court. So we can expect more flooding of illegal aliens in our country. So Biden, with respect to Ukraine, he's just trying to do a little victory flag with respect to our money. And what I find most troubling about all of this is that the U.S. is leading the pack in terms of giving money to Ukraine. Last time I looked at the map, we're far away from where Ukraine is, but Germany is a lot closer. And I think Germany should be paying their fair share, not the United States citizens.
Donna, I want to get your reaction, but I also want to welcome in one of our other panelists, Republican strategist, founder of the Pocketbook Project and the former chairwoman of the Massachusetts Republican Party, Jennifer Nasser. But Donna, I want to pick up on what Tom was saying a little bit, because certainly proponents of funding Ukraine and bolstering support for Ukraine would argue this is incredibly important from a foreign policy standpoint.
Well, it is important. I certainly admire the Ukrainian people and them wanting to fight for freedom. But you know what? It's almost the equivalent of walking over starving people in this country to feed someone else in another country. There are so many families in this country that have gone from working class to the working poor, that are going to food shelters to get food for their family, that have food insecurities. 1 in 3 residents in Washington, D.C., a recession-proof area, now worry about being able to have a meal the next day. So, they're not close to this area, and I certainly wouldn't astonish anybody to say don't help them. But you know what? You feed your family, and then you feed other people.
Kimberly, I want to switch gears for a moment here. President Biden facing criticism from the White House press corps for lack of access and sit-down interviews. He had a few blunders when he was taking questions in Madrid yesterday. Here's one of them.
We are going to stick with Ukraine, and all of the alliance are going to stick with Ukraine as long as it takes to, in fact, make sure that they are not defeated by Ukraine. In Ukraine by Russia.
Kimberly, I want to get your reaction and certainly what you think the optics are here when world leaders look to President Biden and his position and how he speaks.
It's Jennifer, but that's fine. It's all
Jennifer,
the 1970s type of
names. The previous panelist. I'm sorry.
Kind of all the
that
same.
was our previous panel. Sorry about that.
But speaking of the 1970s, Biden is bringing our economy back there, but that's beside the point. I think more importantly here is that the president of the United States is a complete embarrassment to every single American and every single person who would like to live in America and has gone through the process of coming here for the American dream. He goes abroad. He cannot speak coherently. He forgets what he's talking about. He doesn't know the national players on the stage. And, like Donna was saying, he's giving away $80 million when people here at home cannot pay for gas, so that way they can get to the job to pay for that gas.
Tom, it appeared that the president in his speech seemed to be pointing to other countries and the troubles that they're going through in terms of gas prices, almost to say that other countries have it worse than the United States does right now. Is that an effective tactic when this is certainly a concern, a primary concern for voters heading into the midterms, inflation and gas prices?
Really, that's a bait and switch. He's always not blaming, obviously, he blamed Russia a lot for inflation. He's saying, well, we're bad, but we're not as bad as other people. That's like coming home with the test score saying, well, Mom, I got a 50, but everybody else got 20. It's still a failing grade. The United States is still getting a failing grade. And he's absolutely embarrassed the United States on the world stage. He criticized the Supreme Court in Madrid during his press conference. He said that the Supreme Court was exhibiting outrageous behavior. Well, I think, Mr. President, you're exhibiting outrageous behavior by not making the United States the shining city on the hill. And he knows he's in trouble. There was a recent AP poll where 85% of adults say the country is going in the wrong direction, and 79% say the economy is bad. So maybe Biden should stay over there until he can get his act together and come back well-geared to try to help the United States.
All right. Well, the president is back on U.S. soil now. But Tom Borelli, Donna Jackson, and Jennifer Nasser, appreciate you all being with us. Thank you.